Yeah.
Okay, great. So you were reading my my website, I think.
Yeah, I read all of your writing so far, I think,
Yeah.
and find it quite interesting and accurate.
Okay, great. Thanks. So you also read the unit history as part of our website,
Yeah, I did.
and did it bring back some memories you had?
Well, yeah, it recalled to mind some things I'd forgotten. I didn't remember anymore.
No, I can yeah bring some stuff up, of course. And the shortest way for you to get back in time is by reading the unit history and the pictures I have. And we are still building on our website. We have quite some pictures of bridges who were built by the engineers, and we have lots of pictures of um, battle places during World War II. So that will be put online.
Uh-huh.
I think you find it very interesting, but we are, yeah, it's a website in progress. We are still working on it. Francis, I asked my friends to make some questions I could ask you.
Okay.
And you have to you get the greetings from Sidney Hasselbert. I don't, if you do recall Sidney, he was one of the Dutch reenactors.
Yeah.
And Ed, he was one of the reenactors you met on the tour in 2009 at Maastricht.
Uh-huh.
One of the questions we have, do you recall if you had any problems with the hedgerows in Normandy?
I guess probably not a great deal. We, somebody in the engineer battalion thought up the idea of putting a bulldozer blade on the front of a tank.
Yeah.
And they found that quite successful in breaching the hedgerows.
Yeah.
If you didn't go across the hedgerows and tried to go down the roadways, you were in the shooting gallery.
Yeah, that was too risky to using the roads, I guess.
Yeah. So we bulldozed our way through the hedgerows, and they were pretty high and pretty. Some of them were quite thick, as I recall.
Yeah, yeah, they were from the Norman period already. It were the Scandinavian Normans who built the hedgerows, and they got thicker and thicker and thicker all over the years.
Yeah, they kept getting higher and higher too as the trees grew up.
Yeah.
In the hedgerows, they were pretty high, pretty thick.
Yeah.
But that bulldozer blade on a tank was able to breach it quite successfully.
Okay. Francis, were you ever injured or wounded in during your time in the 7th Engineers?
No, I was not. I was one of the lucky ones that made it all the way from November the 8th in 42 to Magdeburg on the Elbe in 45. Okay. And I didn't get a scratch. Was not wounded in any way.
No, you were lucky.
I was in the lucky ones.
Yeah. We also have a question. if you made any personal contact with the Germans, with POWs, and what was your opinion about the Germans? They were the enemy, of course, but they were also soldiers, or what do you recall?
I never really came face to face with any German soldiers in combat.
No.
I was, well, when I joined with CCA just out of Normandy, when we were going up to, I can't think of the name of the place, but when we broke out of the beachhead, well, when we landed in France, and right after D-Day, I was in headquarters company as a recon officer.
Yeah, you told me. Yes.
And at that time, I had a Jeep, a radio operator, and a driver, and that was my recon unit.
Yes.
And then when Captain McMahon and Lieutenant Crimmins were killed in Normandy, I got to go to A Company from headquarters company, and from there on I stayed with A Company all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah, and at first you went to Carentan, or Carentan, how you?
Yeah, I was in Carentan.
And I found the date and place where let's see, Thomas Kelly and 2 men from headquarters company were killed near Pont Hébert, July 28th. And the second day, Company D captured 32 prisoners on July 27th and 21 the following day. Do you recall this? Because it was...
Yeah, well, I wasn't involved in any of that kind of thing.
No.
I was acting as a liaison officer for a CCA, Combat Command A,
Yeah.
and A Company, company commander.
Yeah. And it was Captain Hazen. He was injured at August 5th. And then Francis Crimmins assumed combat command. He was assumed to be on Company A.
Captain Hazen?
Yeah?
Yeah, he went, as I recall, he was with the A Company all the way from Normandy to Magdeburg.
Okay. Okay, it's still here.
He was my company commander.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wondered, it was, in the unit history they wrote he was injured, but we didn't understand if that means that he...
if he had been injured in any way, I wasn't aware of it.
No.
I guess probably I spent more time with Combat Command A headquarters than I did with A Company headquarters.
Okay. Okay.
Or a platooner. I didn't get a platoon, get in command of a platoon until after we'd gotten into Belgium. When we ran out of gas, I think right about the time we got near Maastricht, we ran out of fuel, and we had to wait until gasoline supplies caught up with the division, with Combat Command A, and, well, with the division anyway. So we kind of sat there for a little while.
Yeah. I also wrote that, and we have some more information about relatives of 17th engineers. that a lot of them wrote that they were billeted in houses in Maastricht from civilians. And you were an officer, and did you recall that you lived in houses or at Maastricht at civilians?
Yeah, I guess we lived in a house when we weren't actively pursuing the enemy. We would make ourselves at home in the houses. We'd just sort of move in, or quite often we chased the owner of the house out.
Yeah, you did.
Especially when we got into Germany, we told the people in the houses that we were taking over and they'd get out.
Yeah, they get 5 minutes to get their stuff and get out, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
Let me see. You were at Belgium at one time during the Ardennes campaign and the Battle of the Bulge. How did you keep warm?
How did we keep warm?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get cooled off or cold, really, until it got winter time there. As I remember, in December, we were up near Baysweiler,
Yep.
Germany,
Yeah.
and we had to move from there to Belgium, to Signy in Belgium. That was where we were supposed to go.
Yeah.
We made that march overnight, so to speak. Then we were immediately into battle when we got to Signy. The Germans are already in our bivouac area, so we had to chase them out
Okay.
in order for us to find a place to set our tanks up. And we sort of sat there for a little bit, did maintenance on our vehicles. Then I think it was still in December that CCA was in the attack to Houffalize.
Yes. Houffalize. We have some pictures also on Houffalize. I could mail you some pictures about the 17th engineers in Houffalize. So
Yeah, well, we occupied, I think, when we got into Houffalize, a castle of some sort,
yeah.
and that I can remember. We didn't stay there very long. We were moved right back out of there, back in and around Signy. We in the springtime there,
Yep.
we sort of sat, because if we moved those tanks onto the roads, we'd chew the roads up. In fact, they did. I spent a lot of time shoring up one road that I remember.
Yeah.
I cut down a bunch of trees there in Belgium, and I wasn't supposed to, and made a corduroy road in part of the road that we were actively using, and it was so deep with mud that the 2.5 ton trucks were rolling in ruts up to their tire tops.
Yeah. To the chassis, so they couldn't go further.
It was bad.
It was bad. It was all mud, and that happened
Yeah.
when the ground wasn't frozen anymore. It got all slush.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I remember though that I had to go over there somewhere in that area and clear a road of mines, and I can picture in my mind we could see right where each one of those mines was dug in, and so we uncovered them and pulled them out. And they were all, I think they were all teller mines at that time.
Yeah.
But we removed a bunch of mines out of a roadway there in Belgium,
Yeah.
for one thing. And then we moved from there to another little town, and we had to make a turn and go up a hill.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to get the tanks up to the top of the hill, and it was icy. And the first tank that started up the hill, it got only a little ways and lost traction and slid right back down the hill into a house. It was alongside of the road. I remember that.
So you laughed.
So the Army sent up a quartermaster truck with a load of cinders.
Yeah.
Or I think they were cinders, some kind of abrasive material that we spread on the roadway. And I remember we started up the hill. We had a couple of men up on the truck throwing cinders off onto the roadway. And a few artillery shells landed nearby. And the truck driver started to get out of the truck.
Okay.
And as a result of one of my sergeants and I got on the running board of the truck, one on each side, and I said, "You're going to drive this damn truck up this hill now." So we got that thing up the hill and got that roadway cindered and got the tanks up the hill. It was a nighttime operation. What was interesting was, the tanks that were waiting to start up the hill, they were sitting there with their engines idling, and every now and then they would backfire, and fire would shoot out of the mufflers in the rear of the tank all the way to the ground. It made it real easy for the enemy to get a range on us.
So yeah.
We still had to cinder that road, and regardless, it had to be cindered so the tanks could get up to the top of the hill to make the jump off the next morning. So we did it.
Yeah, you had no choice. If you
Had no choice.
if you didn't cinder that road, the operation couldn't start in the morning, I suppose.
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah.
And then I think that the battle raged from there down to Houffalize.
Yeah. So you sintered when you sintered the road, you went to Houffalize or you came from Houffalize?
We went from wherever that little town was, and I don't remember the name of it now.
Well, I have a lot of names for you, but I don't know if you recall. I have Morville, I had Buffet, I had Erazé, I have Soray, and I have Yui. I don't know if these names say anything to you.
Not really.
No. But it's been quite some time, isn't it?
Yeah. It has.
Yeah. I'm still looking to the left sometimes because I'm reading in the unit history at the same time.
Hmm.
During 6 January, we have found in the unit history that there was an operation with Company A and Combat Command A, where you were part of. And between 6 January and 11th January, there were you were assigned to the 84th Division, 335th Infantry Regiment. There was if I am correct, 2 platoons were assigned to a infantry battalion or an infantry regiment of the 84th, and
Yeah, well, actually at that time, my platoon well, I think it was the first platoon in A Company, we were a part of the Combat Command A Task Force.
okay,
So whatever A Company was doing, we were unaware. Our attention was focused on the 2nd Battalion of the 66th Armored Regiment.
yeah, you told me before that's right. Of the 66th, 2nd Battalion of the 66th Armored. Yeah, so but yeah, we have in the unit history 4 men were called missed in action, and from until this day we don't know who the 4 men were. So that's why I asked you.
Well, I didn't lose any men.
No.
It was after we crossed the Rhine, I think, and well into Germany. I lost 2 men.
In Germany, you lost 2 men.
His name was Albert Clark.
Yeah. Yeah, Albert
The
Clark.
other one's name was Davidson.
Yeah, I noted them both. I found information about Davison.
Yeah, Davidson. He was. He had a drinking problem. And he was a sergeant at one time. He was a sergeant in my company, and he got drunk, and I think he fired his gun at Albert Clark. He actually hit Albert Clark in the shoulder with a .45, and for that he got busted down to a private. And so when he got killed, and Albert Clark got killed, they were back behind where we were working. I was up right at the lead tank platoon, removing a tree felled roadblock. When they were way back, a couple miles to the rear, when they got hit and were killed.
Yeah, they were killed on. I've looked it up. They were killed on the 10th of April.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the pictures that were taken in Margarten, I think.
Yeah.
Where I guess they're buried there. I think Clark was buried there anyway.
Yeah, Clark is buried there. And
I never found a grave for Davison.
No.
And what I think happened to him was his people, wherever they're from, requested that his remains be sent back to the States, and he was buried in a local cemetery.
Yeah, I can confirm that I will send you a link, Francis, to all the other graves we have. We have made a total list for more than 100 graves
Oh.
of 17th engineers, and it's called a Find a Grave website. I will send you the link. Well, I can send you it by email, and just by clicking on the link in the email, all the names will appear.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to write it down. I'll send you a link, and there are more than 100 names on alphabetical order, and you can click them from one another, and you can see all the graves. And I'm talking to you, and at the same time I'm looking at my laptop on another screen, and I can tell you that he is buried at Clarksburg, Harrison County, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah. So, and how do we know it? We have managed to research, and we found the gravestone cards who were made in the end of the 1940s. They, when the family requested that their relative who was killed during World War II, when they asked the remains back to the States, they have to fill in a special gravestone card, an application. And when we have the first and the last name of a casualty, we can find a gravestone card, and then we can also find the grave of the one who was killed.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I can answer you what happened with Davison, and yeah, he was sent back to the States, and he's buried at Virginia. Okay, so I will send you the link, and then you can look up for more graves if you like.
Okay. I know. I think we found Clark's grave in Margarden.
Yeah. When you visited.
Yeah.
And I saw a picture of you. I have more information. I saw a picture of you at the grave of Crimmins also. And that could be at...
Oh, yeah. Crimmins.
Yeah. That would be in Normandy, I think.
I think he was killed in Normandy. I don't know how he got to Margarden.
Well, I can look up for you if you like. What I know is that Lieutenant Crimmins, he was the CO of Company A, and he was killed by a sniper at a kennel north of Maastricht. That's what we know. And that happened...
Because it was when Captain McMahon, Cecil McMahon, was the company commander of A Company when they landed in Normandy, and he was killed. I guess, and Lieutenant Crimmins was also killed in Normandy area, because that's when I got transferred to A Company from Headquarters Company.
Okay. That, yeah. What I know quite sure, because I have his gravestone picture in front of me. Lieutenant Crimmins of Company A was killed by a sniper at Maastricht on September 15th, 1944.
Yeah.
And when you were placed in charge, that was let me see. Could it be that when McMahon was killed from Company A, and Captain Hazen was in place in command of the company, and Thomas W. Kelly, and 2 men from HQ were killed near Pont Hébert, July 28th. Could that be the period that you were?
I think that was when I got transferred from headquarters company to A company.
Yeah. I think that must have been the period, and that's where Akins and another private called Basham was killed also.
Let's see. The other officers in A company besides Hazen were a Grady Smith.
Yeah.
And Lieutenant Lockery. I can't remember his first name now.
No. And we tried to look up Lockery, and we tried to look up Grady Smith, but we couldn't find them. In our research.
Well, Grady Smith, hometown was in Alabama. I can't think of this. Might have been Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay. Maybe we can do something with that to find.
Because I've had contact with Grady Smith since the war at some of the 2nd Armored reunions, but I think he's now deceased.
Yeah, and we're trying to find his grave.
It should be in a cemetery in Birmingham, Alabama, or so near there.
Okay, maybe we have some extra information. Maybe we can find it. And the other name of Lockery, you mentioned.
Locker.
You do not have a first name of that of him.
I don't have any information on him.
No.
I don't remember him at all. One of the other officers in A company then was Lieutenant Fred Smith, and Fred Smith was a platoon sergeant in A company that had a battlefield promotion to 2nd lieutenant.
Okay then, Fred Smith. Well, it's a name that's new for me, so we can put research on it.
Fred Smith's hometown was somewhere in Tennessee, close to Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. Thank you for the information.
Such as it was.
Yeah. Okay. Should I go back to the list of questions I have prepared? One of the questions was, did you, during your tour in Germany, did you see or experience one of the concentration camps where they held the Jews?
You know, I don't know what kind of a camp it was that we observed. It was maybe half a mile off of the roadway that we were on, but it was a fenced-in compound. When we first got in that area, we were sitting on the road. We weren't moving for some reason or another, and I could look at this camp and I could see people on the roof and on the fences watching the progress that we were making, I guess. And I remember, as I was watching, I saw a railroad train, a locomotive hauling cars going in the opposite direction that we were going. And I picked up my radio and I called the battalion or the task force commander and said, "Did you see that railroad train going over there on our left or on our right?" And you know, almost immediately, the tank turns that I could see turned in the direction of that train, and they started shooting at it. I don't remember where they hit it now, but I know for sure that the first shot that was fired by one of the tanks, all the people in that compound or that enclosure that were on the roofs and things disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
They hit the ground and probably the shelters.
Yeah. But you didn't. But could it be was it maybe a camp for displaced persons, or was it a POW camp?
It might have been a POW camp.
Yeah.
I'd have to guess. I don't have a good handle on what the camp was.
Yeah. And which period was it, Francis? Can you name a period where it could have been?
Well, it was after we had crossed the Rhine and we were on our way towards Magdeburg.
Okay.
And our route, we were in the furthest left of the American forces.
Okay. Okay.
The people on our left were British troops.
Yeah. And what did you find about the British, Francis?
Well, they kept up pretty good, but they always stopped for tea at 10. And they would, when it came around 10 o'clock, they'd stop their vehicles, they'd dismount, they'd light up their stoves and start heating water and boiling water for tea. And that's when the Germans would hit them with artillery fire, as I remember briefly at that time. But when they stopped, our flank then had nobody there. And eventually they'd catch up.
Yeah. It was not that a tactical decision to get some tea at the same point each time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard the story before. Francis, I suppose you did have some kind of humor there during the operations. Was humor one of the things that kept the man going?
Yeah. Yeah, we had all kinds of things.
Please tell me, and don't be, and I don't mind if you use dirty words or dirty talk. No problem whatsoever.
Well, we were very clean on our language most of the time. I had to revamp my vocabulary after I got home.
Yeah.
And it seems to me though that a lot of the time the Combat Command A would be on the left flank of the United States, the American Army, and we were on that flank. So that we sort of had to keep a liaison with British troops And our task force at that time was made up of the 2nd Battalion of the 66th Armored Regiment, the 14th Field Artillery, and a company of the 82nd Recon, and of course A Company, the 17th Engineers, minus 1st Platoon, which was mine. That was rather closely attached to the 2nd Battalion of the 6th Armored Regiment. That was a kind of a task force that we followed.
Yeah. But Francis, you did not answer the kind of humor you had with the man up front. Can you tell me more about the humor you got? Did you sing songs or did you make jokes?
Well, whatever was necessary at the time, we did, one way or another. We had some exciting times.
Yeah, I believe you. But you don't want to share the stories.
No,
you want to keep it decent, and I respect that, Francis.
Yeah.
But you have to know, I work at the. I'm an engineer myself.
Yeah, you're a professional engineer.
Yeah, yeah. And so I'm used making nasty jokes and some nasty talk. And but
yeah, we got pretty good at that.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose.
Too.
Okay, let's skip the part of the humor and the dirty talk.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, were there moments during your service in World War II when you really feared for your life? Then could you recall that?
Yeah, there were. One of the times that was real hairy was when we were breaking out of the St. Lo beachhead. And I remember one night when the Germans dropped a pretty good sized bomb right across the hedgerow from me. That shook me up a bit.
Yeah.
We got bombed another time when we were on the road. I'd almost have to get my little map of the front, but as I remember, we were attacking up towards this. It was on the beachhead. We had made the sweep and were trying to get behind the German forces that were facing the British. And lo and behold, here we are in this road. At night, bumper to bumper, and two columns on the roadway going the same way. I thought, boy, this is not good tactics.
No.
And by gosh, the German Air Force came over and they dropped flares and lit up the whole place, and then they started bombing
the convoy.
convoy, and I took off into the fields, got off of the highway, I know, and left my vehicle sitting there. And then when it was over, why, my vehicle was still there. And it was still runnable.
Yeah.
That was one of those things that you don't really want to get yourself into. And of course, probably the rest of the way we're going into northern France and into Belgium, we're pretty well spaced out.
Yeah. You keep your distances for safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you would bunch up every now and then when you hit a roadblock of some sort.
Yeah. Well, what we experienced during our reenactments when we went with the 2nd Armored to Maastricht with all the tanks and all the vehicles, when you saw us and met us there, one of the things we experienced that it's always hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait, yeah.
Sounds familiar?
Yes, it sounds familiar. We did a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay. Francis, next question. Do you recall that the President Harry Truman came to Berlin?
Yeah, we were in Berlin then.
Yeah, and there
That
was
the Potsdam conference
yeah,
with Churchill, Truman, and Stalin.
yeah, and we
They
have
were all at Potsdam.
yeah at Potsdam. That was and we have found a film when Harry Truman. He puts up a streamer of the Normandy campaign up to the battalion guidon of the 17th Engineers. And we have one picture and one movie.
I think they took some. We were lined up on the Autobahn there somewhere around Berlin. And all the tanks were lined up
Yeah,
on Autobahn. They were side by side. And the barrels were elevated to a certain degree, and it was really a good picture. And I remember we stood by our vehicles when Harry Truman and Winston Churchill passed by us in review. They were in a half track.
yeah, yeah,
As I recall, and they went out, trooped down the line of all the vehicles.
yeah. Well, I can show you the movie and the pictures we have of that event on that
Yeah.
day. It was July the 27th, 1945.
Yeah, that sounds right. I remember I had been up onto the Autobahn supervising, I guess, the polishing of the vehicles, getting them ready for the parade. And I was on the way back to our bivouac area there somewhere in the city of Berlin. When, let's see, an ambulance pulled out in front of us and we hit it. We had an automobile accident there in Berlin. I knew I could still picture it. I knew we were going to hit that doggone ambulance. and I was out of the Jeep almost by the time we hit it. But we I don't. There was some activity there, but I don't recall it exactly anymore. But anyway, we got out of that mess, and we were able to drive our vehicle back to our bivouac area there in Berlin. And our bivouac area in Berlin was 4 real large houses that were intact.
Okay.
On one street. They were side by side. And then around the corner, right on the corner, was a double house, I guess you could say, connected by a garage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We used as our company headquarters and officers' quarters, and that's where we spent our time in Berlin. To this day, I don't know where that was.
No. Maybe if I drive you around Berlin in a car, maybe you could point it up to me.
We were in Berlin a couple of years ago when we had our European trip.
Yeah.
To Normandy, of course, and we went all the way to Berlin. I drank too much beer and not enough water, and got dehydrated. So I found myself in the hospital in Berlin instead of taking part in the rest of the activities.
How did you manage to do that? You survived a war for a couple of years, a very dangerous
I was
war.
drinking more beer and not enough water.
Yeah.
Got dehydrated.
Yeah.
Alcohol dehydrates you, you know?
Yeah. I know. I find it kind of irony, isn't it? You survived a war for a couple of years. You ended up in Germany without a scratch, and then 70 years later, you still end at in a hospital in Germany. It's kind of ironic.
I checked myself out of that hospital.
Yeah, you did?
I was feeling okay, and I went to the doctor and I said, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I must get out of here now because we are going to be loading up and driving back to France, I guess, or somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh no, I guess we're going back to Brussels to catch our planes back to the States.
Yeah.
So, well, the doctor didn't really want to let me out of there.
Yeah.
But I got out anyway.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get oriented before I finally managed to, I think I caught a taxi cab and told them where I wanted to go, and they delivered me right back to where we were bivouacked.
Yeah.
And so when my daughter and her husband, they came to the hospital and they found that I wasn't there anymore. And so I was sitting in our quarters where it was there in Berlin, waiting for them to come back.
Yeah. Susan didn't like it, I suppose.
Having a glass of water.
Yeah. Okay. Francis, the next question we have: you were an officer. How did you keep discipline in around the men? on the fields in Normandy and Belgium and Germany. They were young guys. They were seeing
They were young
lots of
guys.
spots.
They were disciplined.
Yeah.
They knew what their job was, and they were, well, I had a platoon sergeant. In fact, I'm not so sure whether I had a platoon sergeant or not, because the one that was the platoon sergeant was on leave back to the States. He was on a 90-day leave, and when he came back, he wasn't worth a tinker's damn. But I had 3 other sergeants that were pretty darn good soldiers, and they did a good job.
So you relied on your sergeants.
I relied on my sergeants, yeah.
Yeah. So the NCOs they kept the men under control. That was not a part of what you did as an officer.
That's correct.
That's correct. So you never screwed, never disciplined somebody.
No, I didn't have to do that. I relied on my sergeants to do that. And my sergeants were pretty darn good soldiers.
Yeah. That must have been.
And so we relied on a chain of command, so to speak.
Yeah. So one of the things is that shit rolls down, isn't it?
Yeah. My platoon sergeant at that time was formerly the mess sergeant. He was a mess sergeant, and when we were in England, and when we got to France as a mess sergeant, he said he wanted to get out of the kitchen and see a little action. And I didn't have my sergeant had gone back to the States on leave, so I didn't have a platoon sergeant. So Captain Hazen, I think, asked me if I'd have any problem having the mess sergeant as a platoon sergeant. And I said, hell no, send him up. He came up, he was one of the best sergeants we ever had.
Oh, wonderful.
Berlin, Sergeant Nichols was made first sergeant of the company. He was the top sergeant in the company, and a real good one.
Real good one. You can rely on your sergeants.
Yep, I can rely on my sergeants.
Yeah. Next question. Do you recall if you ever used German vehicles or German weapons or German stuff?
No.
No.
We didn't. We had our own equipment, and we had plenty of ammunition and all the other things that we needed. So it wasn't until after the war was over that I acquired a German sniper weapon.
Oh, wow. And you still have it?
I still have it. I stripped it down a little bit from what it was.
Yeah.
I used it a couple of years as a hunting rifle for antlered deer.
Wonderful. Could you send me a picture of that rifle one day or another?
I can show it to you.
Yeah, if you like.
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know whether you can see it or not, but this is what it looks like.
Yeah. Seems like it's a Carabine 89, I suppose.
It's a Model 98 Mauser
Yeah. It's a Mauser with a very nice scope.
and a bolt action. And it had a good scope on it. That was what fascinated me about this rifle, so I picked it up. And as you see, I cut the stock off. It used to extend up here.
Wonderful. Could you still hear me and see me, Francis? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we had some problems with the camera, but I can see you now again. Francis, I have something for you I wanted to show you. Maybe you recall what it is. Okay. First thing.
Yeah, that's a 45 pistol that the officers carried.
Yeah.
I got one of those.
You got one of those.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
I can show that to you also.
You still have one?
I have one.
Is it still? Did you still have the original one you carried in?
No, I don't. This is a replacement one. I had to turn the one that I carried during the war in.
Okay. Well.
Not only that, I carried a Thompson submachine gun too. Yeah, one of those. I had one of those.
Yeah.
For a while, with a 20-round clip.
20-round clip. You also had 30-round clips, but you had 20-round clips.
Yeah, they had a drum on it that you could mount on them, and it'd have even more.
Yeah.
But that was pretty heavy weapon to carry.
Yeah. So finally, you discard that weapon. What was the most favorable weapon you carried, Francis?
Yeah, that 45.
The Thompson?
I couldn't hit a doggone thing with it. I remember when we were in England, word came down from the battalion that everybody had to qualify with their arms, with their assigned arms.
Yeah.
So I went to the range with that 45 and I fired the course and flunked. And I had to go back and do it again, and I'd be doggone if I didn't do worse the second time than I did the first time. And the adjutant was Bill Christian then, Captain Christian, and he said, "Okay, Lieutenant, we'll qualify you with a pencil." And they wrote in a qualifying score. So I carried my pistol, but I didn't have to shoot it at anybody.
No. Okay. Next rifle.
Oh, that's the carbine.
Yeah.
30 caliber carbine. Yeah. I carried one of those for quite a while too.
Those are quite light.
Yeah. I didn't think that round of ammunition would do a whole lot of damage.
No, it was quite a small round.
It's a small round. It's not a big cartridge.
No.
Yeah. But I guess it was enough to scare people.
Yeah. And you know this one?
That's the M1. Yeah. That's the weapon of choice.
That's the weapon of choice?
Yeah.
Do you recall the caliber?
That's a 30 caliber,
Yeah, 30-06.
30-06
Yeah.
to be exact. You really got an arsenal there.
Yeah. Well, I have 4 weapons on a special furlough in Holland. It's
Yeah, well,
I can
this is my. I don't even have any ammunition for this dang rifle.
well,
The only thing I got ammunition for is a 45.
you have in-house a 45 with ammunition.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Looks like this.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that seems familiar. Is it still from Colt or is it a Remington?
It's a Colt.
Okay, nice.
Oh, this is. It could be loaded because this is loaded.
That's to keep the burglars out, I suppose.
Yeah.
And do you still shoot on the shooting range, Francis?
I haven't done any shooting in so long, and I've forgotten how.
Okay. Be sure to put it on safe, please.
There.
Yeah.
It's safe that way.
Yeah, it's an empty chamber, I hope. Is it an empty chamber, Francis?
It's an empty chamber.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to be live experiencing you shooting yourself.
I'm not going to do that.
Okay, wonderful. So how did you get the German sniper rifle? You managed to get that one in Berlin? You
Carried it home from when I came home from the army.
Yeah.
I carried that rifle disassembled in my duffel bag, and I didn't let it out my sight till I got home.
Okay. It wasn't quite allowed, but you still managed to.
If I let it go out of my sight, I might not have had it.
No. Good point. You did it that way.
Yeah.
And you used to shoot on deer for a couple.
I did. I shot a deer with it. One, just one.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. I quit that kind of stuff a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
You're gonna excuse me a minute.
Yes.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, wonderful. Francis, one of the questions we still have was, how did you make your field headquarters in the field? Was it a tent with a table and a wooden field desk, or
Oh,
where did it consisted out of?
I didn't have a field desk.
No, you didn't.
The company commander had a field desk, and it was a kind of a chest that opened up
With the hatch.
side that could be used as a desk. I don't even think it had any legs on it. It was just a chest that he could carry in his vehicle and set it up so he could. And of course, the company commander had his staff, the first sergeant, and they had a portable typewriter that they carried with them in their equipment as a headquarters, so they could type up orders if they had to. Of course, we were sort of out on a limb. My platoon was attached to Combat Command A, which is one of the combat commands of the division, and then further it was broken down into task forces, and the 2nd Battalion of the 66th Armored Regiment, with a battery of field artillery and a platoon of engineers, was a team.
Yes. That's how the task force operated.
Yeah.
So you didn't. So did you have your own tent, or did you stay at company HQ, or did you have a tent for yourself in your vehicle?
I had 2 shelter halves that I carried in my Jeep, and if I needed a tent, why, we would set that. I had the poles and pins and stuff, so I could set up my own tent.
Oh,
And we did, on occasion, have to do that.
Yeah. So you didn't have a small wall at your purpose. We called it a small wall. It's a tent specially made for 4 persons.
No. We didn't have sleeping bags. There was a sleeping bag, Army issue that all of the men had that they could roll up and carry in their pack with them.
They were woolen sleeping bags.
Yeah, with the canvas cover on it.
Yeah.
I had an air mattress and a sleeping bag that I bought. I purchased at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, when I joined the division. I found myself sleeping in a tent when I joined the 2nd Armored at Fort Bragg, North Carolina in '42. They were in tents.
Yeah.
And my first night there, I arrived about 11 o'clock at night and reported, and the duty officer says, "Okay, Lieutenant, here's a couple of blankets, and you can throw them down on the dirt floor of the tent to sleep." And that was my first night in A Company. I made it a point right away, quick, to go to the PX and acquire a sleeping bag and a air mattress.
Ah, wonderful. And these sleeping bag, Francis, was it one that was a down-filled sleeping bag, or was it a woolen sleeping bag? Do you recall?
It was a canvas and down-filled sleeping bag that had a zipper that went all the way from one corner to the other corner and the length of the sleeping bag.
Oh, wonderful.
And of course, it had a little flap over the top of it. I still have that sleeping bag.
You still have that sleeping bag?
Yeah. The one that the Army issued, I didn't have the opportunity to bring home, so I don't have that one. But I do have the one I purchased at Fort Bragg.
Wow.
And I suppose if I rummaged around a little bit, I could find the air mattress too.
Well, I think these items are quite rare nowadays. For you, they are normal, but from historical perspective,
Yeah.
they are quite rare items, especially the air mattresses. I've never seen a World War II air mattress. I know they existed, but I never seen.
They didn't issue air mattresses to the men
No.
or anybody. As a matter of fact, you had to buy them. I bought mine at the PX in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, before we went to went to Africa.
Yeah. Well, we know of one picture of a 29th Infantry captain who has a air mattress, but we never seen them on any photo and any information. So don't throw it away, please.
You know, that air mattress was a real good insulator.
Yeah.
You know, blow that thing up and lay it out on a concrete floor in some of those places there in Belgium, in Holland, castles.
Yeah.
And the air in the air mattress would insulate from the cold coming up from the floor.
Yeah.
So you'd be very comfortable.
So, but you used the air mattress, you had the sleeping bag, and you had two shelter halves with two tent poles, some tent pegs, and that was your normal personal tent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you never made a tent of spanning the two shelter halves from the seat you had or the jeep to the ground.
Well, I don't remember now.
No.
I know that I used those shelter halves in North Africa.
Yeah.
Because we had to sleep in those. We didn't have any other kind of shelter.
No.
And we were stationed in the cork forest there east of Rabat.
Yeah.
In England, we were at Tidworth Barracks, which was nice.
Yeah.
And we didn't, I don't remember of pitching a tent any time while we were in Europe.
No.
I do remember digging a foxhole.
Yeah.
When we were waiting to break out of the beachhead there in Normandy, I dug myself a foxhole, and it was about just wide enough for me to get into, and just about that deep, and which would have been just deep enough for me. And I remember I rolled out my bedroll, blew up my air mattress, took my shoes off, and went to bed. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, it was bright daylight. The German had come over and dropped flares, and they lit up the whole place, and then they bombed us. And that was when I was glad I dug a hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just rolled into the hole, waiting for the bombing to, hoping that they didn't drop one in my hole on me. But before I could really catch a breath, I had at least 2 more men on top of me trying to get into my foxhole. Guys that hadn't dug one for themselves.
Well, you did manage to tell them they learned their lesson that evening, I think.
That's right, boy. It wasn't safe underneath the tank, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
'Cause, there was a lot of space that shrapnel could fly through underneath that tank too.
So that wasn't a safe place to take cover.
That's correct. I would say it wasn't.
Okay. Okay. Francis, one of the questions I do have, I'm portraying a sergeant, staff sergeant. That's my role in the hobby when I reenact, and we are training on field formations. And that's what I mean. You have a wedge formation, and you had a skirmish line, and you had a diamond formation, and those were formation out of the books. Do you recall working with formations?
Those are formations that you would maybe practice in a static place, but we never did them.
You never did them.
Yeah, when we were on the attack, why we didn't have time to dig foxholes and do those kind of things. We kept moving.
Yeah.
And when we were in a static positions like we were there in Normandy for a while, after we got on the beach, it was a good idea to dig a foxhole then, but when we broke out of the beachhead, from then on, we were moving all the time.
Yeah, you were going forward and forward, so you never got the
you
time.
didn't sit still long enough. Well, and then when we got into Belgium and we were out of gas, waiting for gasoline supplies and ammunition supplies to catch up to us, then we made use of the houses that were there.
Yeah, yeah. So when you did you ever do some patrolling at night and scouting and patrolling with, or wasn't that part of your?
Not really a part of my activity, so to speak. You know, I remember we went out in front of the tanks looking for mines, and we found some mines out there. A road was mined, but the roadway that was mined went across our front. It wasn't in the same direction that we were going. Mm-hmm. I remember we went out there and we found those mines, and we pulled them out of the ground and we put them in the ditch. And then when I got back and reported to the task force commander, he says, "We're not going down that road, we're going across it." And so those mines were in our way. And I looked around and I only had one soldier left in my platoon, Sergeant Fowler. And I said, "Sergeant, we got to go out and move those damn mines." So we went back out there. It must have been half a mile before beyond our lines to that roadway. We picked those mines up and we carried them over to an anti-tank ditch that was dug there, that the Germans had dug. And we deposited those mines in that ditch. And so when we finally got our job done of picking up all those mines and moving them, and started back, it was beginning to get daylight. In fact, by the time we got back to our lines, it was daylight. But at any rate, I was able to report to the battalion commander that those mines were gone. They were out of there.
Yeah. It took you all night.
It was a long night, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Was that the day you received your bronze or silver star?
I didn't hear you.
Was that the day you received your bronze or silver star?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
That was much later.
Yeah, okay.
In
Because
a roadblock.
yeah, it sounded the same a little bit. Yeah, the next question. Do you recall there were chief warrant officers or warrant officers at battalion?
Yeah, there was a warrant officer in each battalion. He was supposed to be some kind of an administrative individual. And I know I remember the warrant officer, but I don't really remember very much about him. But he was with the battalion headquarters.
Okay. He was
And as you know, we didn't operate out of battalion headquarters. We were attached to a combat team.
yeah, to a combat team on the task force. You told
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Okay, so what kind of questions do I have? Oh, the one of the questions the boys asked me was what was the normal way for communication. You told me you got orders when you were an S2. You got the orders from the battalion and gave them to Company A, and you did it by jeep. But
The Combat Command headquarters would publish the order of the day, so to speak. And that would be what the objective for the day was to be, or where we were going, or what route we were following, and that sort of thing. And they would publish that. It would be maybe about 11 o'clock at night by the time they got it published. And then I was serving as the liaison officer between the Combat Command headquarters and the company headquarters. Then I'd read the orders, and then I'd have to go find the company commander and wake him up and tell him, here's your orders for the day, here's what's in them. And then I'd go back to the Combat Command headquarters and I usually would have a foxhole dug or something, some shelter there that I could get into if I had to.
yeah. And did you also did a lot of communication by runners or by radio or telephone?
Yeah, well, we all had radios. I had a radio that would be connected or would have the necessary crystals and things in it so that I could communicate with the task force commander or with the company headquarters, whichever. The switch would put you on one channel or you'd be on another channel. We had what they called walkie-talkies. I don't know, you've probably seen those things. They were maybe about that long and about that square.
I know them. They called BC 611.
They are almost worthless.
Yeah?
From my experience anyway. I used a radio that was in my Jeep, which was a bigger radio that was connected to the task force radio.
And did you use or used any runners?
No, not really.
No.
Shot myself once in a while.
Well, Francis, one question. One of the questions my boys want to ask you is, how did you do the sanitary, shaving and washing, or was there no possibility to wash yourself and shave yourself?
Oh. We used our helmet liner, or helmet rather, as a wash basin.
Yeah.
And we shave every day and use the helmet for a container. The engineers had the water point. We had to sometimes set that up and purify water for the entire division.
Mm-hmm.
And so we always had fresh water. Everybody had a canteen. We always managed to keep that filled with fresh water from the supply.
Yeah.
So we had potable water most of the time.
Okay, because it was always nearby.
It was nearby. Yeah, and we had a 5-gallon water can that we carried on our vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
That was a 5-gallon can. It would supply water for a squad for a day or so.
Yeah, that was sufficient.
Taking a bath wasn't that easy.
No.
But when we were in a static position, then the engineer battalion would set up a water point, and we also had a shower point. And they had a number of showers heads that they would set up at a shower point, and they'd make hot water. Had the necessary equipment for supplying hot water for the shower point, and the entire division would come to those shower points for showers and bathing and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, okay, because I read from one of the letters I have from 17 engineers is that one of them wrote in his letter that the first time he ever showered after landing in Normandy on Omaha Beach, the next time he showered that it would be at Maastricht. And he was a man from E-Company, I think.
Now, when we were moving, moving out, there was no time to set up a shower point.
No.
But when we go into a rest area and start maintenance of vehicles and equipment, then we'd set up the shower points, and all the men in the division would come to those shower points for a bath.
Yes. Okay.
That was really nice.
Yeah, I could imagine after a couple of weeks without a proper shower.
Yeah.
Boy,
It couldn't go that long.
Yeah. What you were a stinking bunch, I think.
Yeah. We wore the same clothes all the time. We didn't have a chance to send our uniform off to the dry cleaners and get them cleaned.
No, no. But did you still recall when you got the cold weather shoes, the shoe packs, the rubberized boots?
Yeah, I had rubber shoes that went over my boots
Yeah.
to keep my feet dry.
And
That's
and did you recall
when
that?
I went on past too.
Yeah. What
We were in Belgium, back in, well, we'd been up in Germany, but we were, let's see, it was around Christmas time, I remember that. There was some snow and icy roads. But we had little stoves, that you could put gas like a Coleman lantern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would use gasoline, and we could heat water on those for washing and shaving and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Of course, it was only in rest areas that we set up the shower points so that all the men in the division can have a chance to take a shower.
Yeah. After weeks. Francis, let's do the final question because it's already 1.5 hours later already.
So it is.
Yeah, time's going fast. I know. One of the last questions, and I asked you this question when you were in Holland at Vught at the Engineers Museum in Holland. But we do have pictures of men working as 17th engineers in camouflage uniforms. And you told me back then that you didn't recall that the 17th engineers used them, or you didn't see it, but I still want to verify if that is still correct, that you didn't see the camouflage uniforms.
Oh. I don't remember ever wearing a camouflage uniform.
No.
I had wool,
Yeah.
olive drab uniform
Yeah.
that I wore, and I think most of the time we even had the Eisenhower jacket rather than a long blouse.
Yeah. Yeah, you were officer, so you always wore your necktie or also?
Yeah. Surprisingly.
Surprisingly. But you did always wear the necktie.
I wore a necktie.
Yeah. Part of the uniform.
That was part of the uniform. I also wore my steel helmet too.
Yeah, of course. Okay, Francis, you helped me a lot with all your answers. I had quite a wonderful time here with the interview with you. I really loved it. And
I've been enjoying it too. It's been quite an experience.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I've been able to tell you anything worthwhile.
Yeah, everything you told me was worthwhile. Everything. Because, yeah, what we only know is the unit history. But you can fill in the gaps we have because you have your personal history.
I would rather believe at this time that there aren't very many World War II soldiers that were in Belgium and Holland at that time that are still alive and able to talk.
No, no. So you're special for us.
Oh, okay. I'm glad to be able to do that.
Yeah, wonderful. Francis, may we use? I record these interviews on my laptop. May we use the recordings I had with you? May we use them for our website?
Yeah,
And
could do.
Yeah, I will cut out the bad parts of the interviews, and I only will put the more informational pieces of this interview. I will put them online on the website, if I may.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Do you have a question for me, Francis, or should we?
No, if I had a question for you, I don't know what it would be about. But at any rate, so far, what you have written, published on your website, I've read, and I've found it very interesting and informative. And some things I didn't know or that you have written so far, and to me, it looks like everything is very accurate.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're still not finished, so I will send you an update on the website when it is finished. Should we make an appointment for next week, Tuesday again, if you like?
Yeah, we can do that. I'll look at my calendar.
Yeah.
Where are you here? Here we are. Well, next week is wide open, so I could very well talk to you again next Tuesday
That would be
at
lovely.
the same time.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Okay?
Yeah, please.
I will make a note of it. All righty, Martin, we will be here next Tuesday at the same time.
Okay. Wonderful. For the third
Okay.
session. Yeah. Wonderful.
In the meantime, I'll read what you've already written.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. And let me know when it's not correct.
Okay,
Okay.
will do.
Francis, thank you very much and nice day. Bye
You
bye.
have a good day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.